The Bureau of Land Management is weighing a proposal to inject millions of tons of carbon dioxide more than a mile under the Earth's surface in southeastern Montana. Supporters of the Snowy River Carbon Sequestration Project say sequestering carbon in the earth is a worthy goal that will mitigate climate change. But opponents have raised concerns about the project's efficacy and argue that it could threaten water, wildlife, and grazing leases in Carter County. Joining us now from Bozeman is Montana Free Press reporter Amanda Eggert, who has been following the debate over Snowy River. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. So this project is notable for a couple of reasons. One is its scale. If it's approved as proposed, Denbury will inject 150 million tons of pressurized carbon dioxide deep into the earth over a 20-year period. Denbury says that's roughly equivalent to the annual emissions of 1.6 million cars. Enough, in other words, to make a dent in national climate goals. It's also garnering interest because drilling deep wells to sequester carbon for long periods of time is still a relatively new technology. There are only a handful of wells that have been drilled for this purpose in the U.S., so federal agencies are still developing a regulatory framework for reviewing these kinds of projects.
And what do we know right now about Snowy River's developer?
Denbury is an oil and gas company that's based in Texas. ExxonMobil purchased Denbury last year for $5 billion. Saying the acquisition would help ExxonMobil expand its expertise in carbon reuse and sequestration and reduce its own greenhouse gas emissions. Another reason Denbury was attractive to ExxonMobil is that it owns more than 1,000 miles of carbon dioxide pipelines in the northern Rockies and Gulf Coast. The Snowy River project is located right along an existing Denbury carbon dioxide pipeline that carries CO2 from gas plants in Wyoming to oil fields in eastern Montana.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the project site, Amanda?
The project is proposed for a rural area of the state with a largely agricultural economic base. The majority of the project would be on BLM administered land in the far southeastern corner of Montana, but smaller pieces of the project also involve state land and one private landowner. It's proposed for one of the least populated counties in Montana, Carter County, which has about 1,500 residents. In terms of nuts and bolts for the CO2 injection, Denbury wants to construct 15 wells in order to inject the pressurized CO2 between 5,000 and 8,000 feet underground. The well drilling component of the project would be evaluated by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, which permits wells that could impact underground drinking water sources. Theoretically, injecting CO2 more than a mile underground will protect existing water wells and ensure that the carbon dioxide remains sequestered or trapped under the earth where it won't contribute to climate warming.
Thanks, Amanda. We'll have more from her on the Snowy River Carbon Sequestration Project later in the show, and you can read the full story now at montanafreepress.org.